One of my most vivid memories is from the morning of my 5th birthday, 1994. I went with my mom to the grocery store to get the cake, balloons, etc. We were on the ice cream aisle, me looking on one end and my mom on the other. I was totally in her sight the whole time, but for whatever reason, she kind of missed the whole incident. This couple, probably early 50s, approached me and started talking to me. The lady was overweight with a long, stringy grey ponytail. The guy looked like a trucker or something, shaggy hair and a beard with a hat and big glasses. They asked me how old I was, and I was proud to finally say I was 5 and that my birthday party was today. They asked me what my favourite ice cream flavour was, and I told them vanilla. Of course, it just so happened that they had a fridge full of vanilla ice cream in their RV that was parked outside the store, and that I should come have some to celebrate my birthday. Even my naive 5-year-old self was like, nope. They were gesturing for me to walk with them, and the lady even put her hand on my shoulder to guide me. I booked it down the aisle to my mom. I guess they didn't realize she was my mom since we weren't standing together. I told her what happened, but since she didn't see any of it, seriously no idea what she was doing, she kind of brushed it off. They must have gotten out of there pretty quick, because they weren't there when I tried to point them out to my mom. When we left the store though, there was a super scary looking RV in the parking lot. I'm 99% sure I narrowly escaped some really weird stuff happening to me in there. At the time, it seemed kind of weird, but not that big of a deal. But as I remembered it more and more, I definitely almost got kidnapped that day. It was New Year's Eve, my birthday, and myself and 2 of my friends were out of the front of my house listening to music on my iPods. We were about 12 at the time and there was no one else around. It was probably 10 or 10:30 at night, and we were waiting for the illegal fireworks to light up down the street. It happened every year at this time. Probably it sounds a little weird, 12-year-old kids by themselves at 10:30 PM listening to Katy Perry in the middle of the street, but it wasn't too unusual. See, my neighbourhood is very close. We know all of our neighbours really well, so our parents who were in the house and ourselves weren't at all concerned. We were listening to Hot and Cold by Katy Perry. Yes, it was that time of the decade, and we're jamming along to it when we began to hear a whistle. Now first off, it sounded like it was part of the song, so initially everyone ignored it. But that was until it started to distort and go out of rhythm to the music playing. It didn't seem to be in tune with the song, and it was eerily out of pitch. I don't know why, maybe to hear it better, but my friend decided to pause the music. Maybe it was just in the song, or maybe the phone was glitching. As soon as the music stopped, the whistling continued, pitchy and slow. We were a little bit spooked. It was dark outside other than the few street lights on the road. We couldn't really see much or make much out of the darkness other than the strange whistling. We were able to pinpoint the direction it was coming from soon enough. We turned towards it and froze. About 10 meters from where we stood, just on the edge of the street lamp's light, was a man. He looked quite disheveled, most likely homeless, and he was just standing there, looking at us, whistling that godforsaken pitchy whistle. We were all frozen for a while, as I guess we were all caught off guard, until my fight or flight kicked in. I yelled at my friends to get inside, and they began to scream and run up the driveway. I pushed and shoved them forward, terrified because I don't know whether they could hear what I was hearing. But the whistling had finally stopped, but something else was drowning out the silence. Heavy-setted footsteps. He was chasing after us. I screamed bloody murder at them, opening the front door and shoving them inside, not caring if I hurt them. I turned and slammed the deadbolt just as he reached the screen door. I watched as his figure came into view. He was dirty, wearing soiled long-sleeved clothes, had an unkempt beard, and wore a torn beanie. As I closed the door, he stopped just ahead of the screen, looked me dead in the eye, and murmured something that still makes my skin crawl. Damn it. One of my friends consoled the other, who was now in tears, as I watched him through the peephole. He lingered for a second more, then disappeared into the blackness. I remember my friends grabbing me, asking if I was okay, and then pointing down to my hands. I was shaking like a leaf. We never told our parents. This was over 10 years ago, and it still scares me to think of what could have happened if we hadn't have noticed the outside place whistling. Back in September 2015, me and my dad were on our way to Pennsylvania for my cousin's 4th birthday party. It was a little over a 2-hour drive, but all of my relatives on my dad's side lived there, so I've been going there since before I could even walk. Plus, I was extremely close to my cousin, and she looked up to me quite a bit, so I didn't mind the drive. We got there, and it was packed. To give you a little insight, my cousin's parents are rich. Like, really rich. Their daughter pretty much gets everything she wants, and when it's her birthday, they go all out and a lot of people come. My cousin's parents were extremely busy that day due to the sheer extent of the party, so they couldn't be around my cousin at all times, but they didn't really have to worry too much about what she was doing because of all the adults there. She pretty much just roamed the house, chatted all the adults up, and played with the other kids. Anyways, I was sitting down at one of the tables outside eating, when I feel somebody fucking start to massage my neck and touch my hair. I turned around and see this 60-something guy just looking down at me smiling. I force out the most obvious fake laugh I think I've ever done. "Hey sexy," he says to me. At this point, I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck? Just so you know, I was a 14-year-old girl at the time, and although I looked older than 14, anybody who saw me could obviously tell I was a teenager, although that didn't stop similar events from happening in the past. He sits down in one of the seats next to me, and I shit you not, this guy starts to caress my face and starts telling me how he liked my eyes, and that I looked too grown and that I might tempt older men. I'm ready to stab this old fucker in the hand with my fork and knee him in the face. I was only 5'2" and about 100 pounds, but honestly I didn't care. But instead of that, I tried to keep my cool and just ask him who he was. He said he was my uncle. I still question whether or not that's true today, since I have many family members and there are numerous ones I haven't met yet. He excused himself after that and just walked off and said he hoped to see me again soon. Obviously and understandably creeped out, I began eating again. But then I realized this fucking creep could be around my fucking cousin at any moment. I ran into the house and found him watching all of the fucking kids playing in the living room. These kids were all around the ages of 2 to 7. I almost lost my dinner right then and there on the floor. It still makes my stomach churn, just thinking about how close this sicko was to my 4-year-old cousin. Let's just say I followed her around everywhere the rest of the day, and I also checked up on the other kids too, just in case. The sad part about it all was that there were other adults where I was sitting when I was hit on by this guy, and they did absolutely nothing. It really shows how careless people can be sometimes.